One of my favorite limited time game modes for Marvel Snap Sanctum Showdown is back, giving everyone a chance to get a completely free new card, the Hydro Man, by playing it. This 5/8 is going to be a sweet new build around that gives you the symmetrical effect of setting the cost of each player's top card to 1 to give you a flourish on the last turn of the game for lots of unexpected surprises. If you haven't played Sanctum Showdown before, it's a very tempo focused version of Marvel Snap, where the points you have on board each turn slowly add up over the course of the game, with the first to accrue 16 total points from contesting locations each turn coming out on top, as opposed to measuring who has the biggest number in just 2 places at the end of the game. This means deck building ends up being a good bit different and focus on playing to the board early and often. So for today's video, I've got the best decks for you from the previous iteration of Sanctum Showdown, of which the ban list is the same this time around, along with a few new card updates from our latest releases to give you a jump start on the competition. Let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? Movement was one of my favorite archetypes to play in the previous iteration of Sanctum Showdown, and our latest season pass card, the Spider Punk, is a phenomenal addition to both this game mode in general and this deck. His ability to relocate himself and steal some power when he does allows him to contest lanes 2 turns in a row. And when we pair him with cards like Ghost Spider, Madam Web, Sparky, and others that can keep him constantly moving around the board, he's going to get to drain things again and again and again. This deck list, once it really gets going, usually takes its move payoff and continues sliding it around the board, contesting wherever that Sanctum location is to allow you to rack up 5-pointer after 5-pointer until you eventually land a victory. Spider-Punk gives this archetype some much-needed redundancy, since previously the games where you lacked a human, torch, or a dagger, you could often come up short, not having anything to move around for a profit. The big difference between Sanctum movers and more traditional movers that you see play on the ladder is this build is all in on just building its own sandcastle. Since your points matter over the course of the game, it's less important to keep them protected with tech cards like Cosmo. Destroy is an absolute blast in this game mode because you get to play with some cards that normally just aren't very good in traditional ladder Destroy. Specifically, Bucky Barnes, Uncle Ben, and Dormammu are all stellar because they allow you to get points onto the board early and often. One key interaction with this particular Destroy build that you want to be aware of is that Moira X is always going to be copying for you the Dormammu ritual, which when you use that final stage of the Dormammu ritual to re-summon it, if Dormammu's already on the board, it actually relocates it to the new location where you've played this ritual for the second time, which means once you get Dormammu fully online, you can keep using these stage 2 rituals generated with Moira X to move your massive 7-drop around the board, chasing the Sanctum location every single turn to continue to dominate it. One big upside that this archetype has is its ability to play Killmonger organically. There's a lot of people playing things like Hydra Bob and other higher power 1 energy cards that Killmonger is stellar for allowing you to clean up while also having synergy with our own Destroy bits. One notable absence here is that Deadpool is not good inside of Sanctum, since he's typically a card you want to blow up every turn and scale for a big turn 6, which is less important in this game mode that's about playing to the board early and often. Afflict variations featuring Ajax at the top end of their curve have been consistently top performers inside of Sanctum Showdown since it was released as a game mode. A lot of this archetype strength comes from the fact that a number of the best decks are playing to the board early and often, which makes effects like Man Thing and Laufey be absolutely massive for energy plays that typically account for a double-digit or more point swing when you play them out, frequently letting them dominate lanes completely on their own. You also have things like Ajax as well as Diamondback when you get to those turns 5 and 6 that are massive stat sticks to contest lanes with as well. It's notable that this particular build that was most successful in our last iteration of Sanctum Showdown is playing high evolutionary purely for that discount on Abomination, so it can often be a completely free 9-point stat stick for you to slam down in those final crucial turns. Speaking of decks that play to the board early and often, Zoo is probably the deck that's best at doing that. Your cards like Squirrel Girl and Shauna allow you to build up power across all of the lanes quite quickly, while things like Kazar and Blue Marvel allow you to get extra stats into places that you otherwise appear like you could be locked out. You top off the curve in this archetype with things like Gilgamesh and Mockingbird that can allow you to slam big individual stats to contest the Nexus lane in that mid to late game. Miles Morales might look like a bit of a suspect card here, but keep in mind that Hydra Bob can move most turns in this mode where you're constantly snapping, and Kate Bishop's grapple arrow can be a second movement source in a pinch. By the numbers, the last time Sanctum Showdown was a game mode, this Sauron deck and variations of it were the best performers on public trackers like Untapped. However, it is also worth calling out that the deck's namesake, Sauron, has been demoted from a 1-3 down to a 1-2 in an OTA since the last time Sanctum was active. I don't expect that that makes this archetype unplayable, but it does make one of your early starts a little bit less powerful, giving other decks a chance to have some breathing room in those early turns of the game. For folks who have more limited collections, I like to throw a couple of budget lists at the end of these roundups for the limited time game modes as well, with this entirely early series Spectrum ongoing deck being one that put up pretty solid numbers the last time Sanctum was here. In particular, cards like Namor can be sneakily good here, offering big points of power starting on that fourth turn of the game. And when you pair them with things like Mr. Fantastic and Claw, they could regularly be contesting that Sanctum location all on their own comes turns 5 and 6. You could also budgetify the Zoo archetype for this game mode to not play any of the higher series cards and still find solid success. Noteworthy exchanges here are we've got things like Nightcrawler as a Miles Morales enabler as opposed to Hydra Bob, and Stegron actually is a card that's sneaky powerful if you're looking to brew in this game mode because it can typically win a Sanctum location on its own from its 7 points of power plus the ability to toss something out. And if you play it in a key spot, you could often fill up a location early for your opponent, making them kind of behind in a big way on future turns when it turns out to be the Sanctum. If you're looking to color outside the lines a little bit when it comes to playing Sanctum Showdown, be sure to stop by my live stream at twitch.tv/Jeff Hoagland or youtube.com/Jeff Hoagland once the game mode is live. And I'm going to be brewing up all sorts of different things to try and figure out some stuff off the beaten path that can keep up. Hopefully today's roundup of proven deck lists can give you a chance to jump in and get your Hydro Man ASAP so you can get brewing with that card as well. While I don't think he's likely to be good inside of Sanctum Showdown proper, he is going to be a sweet new build around card that I'm excited to dig into in regular Marvel Snap. Do you have a secret deck for success inside of Sanctum? I would love to hear about it in the comments down below so I can kick the tires on it on one of my live streams. I appreciate everybody that made it all the way through the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, consider tapping that like button. Hope your next snap pack is an excellent one, gamers.